Uh, yeah.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Going for Two. I am Q1 Humphreys, and March Madness has officially begun. The NCAA men's tournament started up yesterday, and in this video, we're going to be talking about every single matchup. Now, of course, some matchups are going to get more time than others because some matchups were better than others. But before I do that, man, make sure y'all hit the subscribe button, like, comment, share with your folks. We have a goal of hitting 400 subs. We are about 27 subscribers away from 400 subs, so I can do that with you guys itself. So please hit the subscribe button. Let's get right into the video. Okay, so the first matchup we're going to talk about here is UNC versus VCU. The number 11 seed VCU takes down the number 6 seed UNC in an upset on the very first day of the NCAA tournament. Now, I'm going to be honest and say this loss to me isn't so much about UNC as it is about VCU, as it is about Terrence Hill Jr. Because if y'all watch my bracket video, I had UNC losing. I said UNC is not the same team without Caleb Wilson. We've seen over the last, month or so without Caleb Wilson. They had not looked the same at all. So, coming into this game, I didn't know Terrence Hill would go out and drop 34. But I had VCU winning regardless. But Terrence Hill Jr. came out there and took over that ball game. He hit the game-winning 3 in overtime. He scored 5 of the last 6 VCU buckets, and he looked like Superman. And if you look at the college tournament over the years, it's all about guard play. If you have that elite guard that can put the ball in the basket when you need it the most, you're gonna win the game. And that's exactly what VCU did. Now I'm gonna try to hit this as fast as possible. UNC has a problem. And the truth is, Hubert Davis, I think if he don't have a good year next year, he may be out of there. Because you look at Hubert Davis, after the first season making the national championship, he hasn't done much. The year after, they missed the tournament. The year after that, they make it to the Sweet 16, which is not bad, But the last 2 years, they've lost in the first round. I don't remember the last time Roy Williams lost in the first round at all. You know what I'm saying? Hubert Davis is tough. I know he dealt with injuries this year, but you gotta got that first round, dog. You gotta got the first round. Now, I will say if Caleb Wilson was healthy, they probably are higher than a 6 seed. So I'm not gonna hold this down on them too much. But to be up 19 points against a team that you're better than, with or without Caleb Wilson, you gotta find a way to close that game out. The next game we have Duke versus Siena. Now, this was a scary, scary game for Duke. The number 1 overall seed. This is who I picked to win the national championship. Duke was down 11 points at halftime. But I'm watching the game, I'm thinking, man, Duke played horrible in the first half. They missed, 11, 12 straight three-pointers in the first half. Siena shot over 50% from the field, nearly 50% for 3 in the first half. And Duke's went down by 11 points. And I said, okay, the lead's only at 11. Duke's going to come back and win this game. And they did. They came out and they outscored Siena by 17 points in the second half and won by 6. Won 71-65. The defense was a lot better. Caden Boozer, career high Caden as I call them, or as, not I call them, but as somebody on TikTok that I watch call them. Duke Breakdown. Duke Basketball Breakdown. Shout out to you, brother. Career high Caden had a big performance. Him and his brother took that game over. Duke got stops, won the game. Boom, boom, boom. I expect Duke to be a lot better against TCU next on Saturday because they looked over Siena, and Malik Brown came out and said it at halftime of this game. Now, the next game that we have, we got High Point versus Wisconsin. High Point comes away with an 83-82 upset over Wisconsin. This is another game on my bracket that I had the upset because I respect Wisconsin. And somebody in the comment section came down and said, how many Wisconsin games have you watched? Yada, yada, yada. Whatever. I said, man, I look at High Point. I said, High Point can score the ball, man. They can score the ball. They shoot the mess out the basketball. And you look at Chase Johnston. I hope I didn't mess up his name. Chase Johnston. I look at Chase Johnston and the way that there was a play. They down by 8 points with 3 minutes left. He come out and shoot the ball from nearly half court. Cash. That's crazy. And he ultimately made the game-winning layup. His first 2-pointer of the season, by the way. The game-winning layup to win the game. Their ability to just hit shots in bunches. Basketball is a game of runs, man. And if you can hit those 3-point shots at an elite level, you can go on those runs at the time when you need it the most. And that's what I saw from High Point. Now, Wisconsin, there's 2 stars went cold in the second half, and they just could not put the game away. Just very, very tough situation for them. Next game we got TCU versus Ohio State. Now, these 8-9 matchups are bracket bracket busters. Every single year. The very first game of the tournament is an 8-9 matchup, and half of the field, half everybody's brackets is ruined already. I had Ohio State winning, but TCU came out and they played a very good first half, 1.5 up by 15. Ohio State made a run, but the defense of TCU, to me, is what let them win this game. They held Ohio State to 64 points. They held Bruce Thornton, the all-time leading scorer in Ohio State history, to what, 10 points? And then when the going got tough, they were able to get a bucket at the end of the game to take the lead. You know what I'm saying? So TCU will match up against Duke. I think it's going to be a tough matchup for TCU. I mean, maybe a tough matchup for Duke. I think it'll be a pretty good game, though. But TCU on to the next round. Let's do it. Texas versus BYU. Texas defeats BYU 79-71. This is another 6-11 upset. Texas, who just won off a game winner on Tuesday over NC State, come out and beat a BYU team. Now, this game was all about AJ DeBanza, though. AJ DeBanza had probably, they said it was the second highest point scored by a freshman in the NCAA tournament. He had 35 points at a double-double with rebounds. He looked like anything he wanted, he got. But the thing about Texas coach, and he said this in the first half, the beginning of the first half, he said, yo, there's nothing we can do to stop this guy, but we can still go out there and win this game. And that's exactly what they did. He go out, the Bears went out there and scored 35 points, and the rest of the team only scored 36. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. We see this strategy in the NBA a bunch of times. You have this guy that's just elite offensively, elite scoring. If you let him get off, you know, you don't want him to go out and score 50 points, of course, because at the end of the game, they sent doubles and traps his way. But if he goes off but nobody else scores, you can get the job done. And that's what we saw from Texas. Texas hit a big-time three in the corner at the end of the game and really put the game away. Texas is advancing to the next round, and that busts my bracket because I had BYU to the Sweet 16. That's just tough. Louisville defeated South Florida without Mikael Brown Jr. Very, very tough. Very, very tough. I thought for sure Louisville was going to go down without Mikael Brown, but they were able to get the win, man. And I credit a lot their defense because USF's top scorer, their top guy, went 0 for 11 from three-point range. 0 for 11 from three-point range. Wes Ennis. And if your best player go 0 for 11, you're not going to win that game. Of course, they made it close and lost by 4 points, but that's just very, very tough. Louisville, I'm not sure if they're going to get Mikael Brown back for the round of 32 or not. But if they can get past round of 32, he'll definitely be back for Sweet 16. So that's something to definitely look at and definitely watch out for. Louisville on to the next round, dog. Gonzaga versus Kennesaw State wasn't a game. I'm sorry. It wasn't a game at first, but Kennesaw State got back in the game. I did see that. When I cut the game off, it was a blowout. But I woke up to find out that Kennesaw State actually made a run. And it was just, I think when you're down so much in that kind of situation, fighting back takes so much out of you. If you don't get over that hump, you're going to run out of gas. And that's what I saw with Kennesaw State last night, ran out of gas. Shout out to Kennesaw State, though. This is their first year in the Conference USA, and they're in the tournament. And they're in the tournament in both basketball and football. Well, football, they weren't in the playoffs in football. But they won the conference championship in football. So shout out to Kennesaw State. This could be a legit program moving forward. Vanderbilt took down McNeese 78-68. McNeese fought, but at the end of the day, I think with these smaller teams, these smaller level mid-major teams, when you go up against these powerhouses at the top of these conferences, bro, it's a size disadvantage, and that's what I saw last night. It was a size disadvantage. Vanderbilt dominated the boards, they dominated the paint, and it was just too much for McNeese. But McNeese making the tournament again, shout out to them. Vanderbilt advances. I think Vanderbilt is also a pretty underrated team. They made it to the SEC championship and lost to Arkansas. They made a good game on Arkansas. So we'll see how far they get. They moving on to the round of 32. Texas A&M took down St. Mary's 63-50. Texas A&M defense was a little bit too much. It was a little bit too much. St. Mary's best player was shut down. I know they said he was dealing with some sickness or something, but he was shut down. Only scored 4 points in that game. So Texas A&M advances. I had St. Mary's winning, so I am wrong on this one. But not much to be said about this game. On to the next one. Michigan State, Nebraska, St. Louis, Houston, Michigan. I said Michigan already. Arkansas. I'm missing somebody else. But the rest of the games were pretty much blowouts. Pretty much blowouts. I'm not going to come out here and say too much about those games. We're going to see better matches for those teams in the next round. But, yeah. Domination from those guys. Shout out Nebraska, their first ever NCAA tournament win. Shout out St. Louis, because I haven't really heard of that basketball team before. So shout out them. But That's all I got for you, my man. Man, I hope this video wasn't too long. It might have been. I went through all 16 games, kind of, but that's all I got for you, man. Let me know in the comment section, how is your bracket doing? I know for the bracket challenge, I'm like in 6th place because I had more upsets on the first round. A bunch of them 6-11, 5-12 upsets. I had more of them upsets, but it's all good, man. Till next time, go over till we out of here. Yeah.